from Speed Lab. Today's Friday. We got our boys Ron and Alex from Hoonigan.
Yup.
That's right. So that means the Hoonigan Evo RS is back. So Ron's got some new goodies on here. Whenever we bring the car down, we'll show you guys what he's done in the engine bay. For the time being, we can go check out his carbon doors, which happens to be on the right side only. But he was on a time crunch, so he's got the carbon fenders too. So he's got one of our SPL 900 2.2 billet crankshaft motors. So all the torque, all the bottom end, and we got a G30
900 twin scroll.
Yes, twin scroll. So we got 2 gates on there. It's gonna be a spool monster, so super excited to see that. We're gonna dial in cam timing and all that good stuff. Right now what we're doing is we're putting his X-Shift sequential transmission back in the car. I say back in the car because last time we got it on the dyno, we had a mishap with the bell housing. He had to send the transmission back to TRE. It's okay, it's back now. We were having slight clutch issues too. Well, it wasn't clutch issues, it was essentially disengagement issues with the actual throwout bearing. Yeah, shout out to Clutch Masters for rebuilding the actual throwout bearing, and he also went from a sprung twin to the non-sprung.
Yep, non-sprung 850. Yep.
Apparently that's better for a sequential.
The whole reason I came to Ronnie is because I know he builds really solid 2.2 liter blocks, and when we first started talking about this, I want to do something called Gymkhana Grid in this car, and what that is it's kind of tarmac rally style driving. So this thing's going to slide around a lot. You got to be able to use the whole power band. You don't want a super peaky turbo. So we're building this thing to be a torque monster, and a built transfer case and the sequential is what you need to be able to take that torque. Maybe some clutch kicks, easy clutch kicks, but clutch kicks nonetheless. This isn't like a standing mile car, it's not a drag race car. This thing is made to perform and slide around and do all this stuff. So that's why we went with the sequential and the 2.2 and everything.
Although with your final drive, you can't do quarter. Ron has a lot of money into this. We're very excited to be a part of this build, and the opportunity that's been given to us to actually be a part of this and put it together for the most part. Of course, he did a lot of the stuff himself too. So, but you know, we did the engine, and we're going to be doing the calibration work from here on out. Period. You know, anytime he wants to, you know, change the setup and do something a little bit different. We are going to give him different power levels because we do have a trim pod in the car. So we're going to have like a wastegate setting, medium boost setting, high boost setting, high boost, high timing setting, and then, we're gonna have like a kill mode,
which is the race your friends mode.
Yes,
we got a couple other guys at Hoonigan that are building cars too. They're going for big power levels, but
this thing's gonna be a handful. Yeah. I feel like it's gonna be a handful, and you're gonna really have a nice power band. G30 900.
Yep.
The twin scroll factor of it helps a lot.
Good.
And we got a 2.2, so even S2s are okay.
Nice.
So,
and then we can upgrade on later. Yeah. So what Ronnie was talking about earlier is that this is just the first step. Just getting it running and getting a number down on the dyno for a car like this, that's the first step of development. I'm gonna take this out, I'm gonna take it testing at the track, find out I need to shift the power this way, or maybe I gotta shift it this way. That's where you change camshaft profiles, change your tunes, add stuff like nitrous fill, all that. But first we wanna get a baseline going. That's what we're doing today.
The 2.2 SPL 900, it's rated for 900 horsepower. We made over 1,000 on this dyno, and we've had people make over 1050. The only downside to making that much power with this motor is the rods are pretty heavy. Even though we do use DLC TP1 pins that are light, the pistons are fairly light. The rods are pretty heavy, like on the heavier side. So 900, 950 is kind of the comfort zone of this engine. As far as the crankshaft goes, you don't have to worry about it cracking because we do use the Cali's billet crankshaft, and to this day I haven't seen one crack. And we've seen pretty much every other manufacturer crack, and we've seen tons of OEMs come through the door that somebody will give me a core. At this point, I refuse to use OEM crankshafts just because the sheer
amount. Even the one that came out of this car, it didn't have that many miles on it, and it was off.
Yeah,
it was pretty off.
It was. I think yours was bent, but if you mag these cranks, like 80-85% of them are junk.
This guy, he's like an encyclopedia. Everything Evo, it's crazy. When we were building our motor, the knowledge this guy was dropping, wild. That's why I'm here.
I'm learning every day.
Yeah.
But I'm glad to be able to pass down some information for people that are trying to, even if you're not my customer and you're just trying to figure out what direction your build should go. This is the stuff that we try to clear up because forms are dead. on Facebook. Facebook's like the new forums, right?
Kind of, but it's all over the place.
It's all over the
hard to
place.
find
You know,
info,
they'll come and you'll read some comments that's just like asinine, man. You read it, you're like, what the One quick thing to mention. Sometimes, well, there's two ways of doing this when you go to with a hydraulic throwout bearing. You can either actually measure the distance from the actual face of the bearing to the actual pressure plate, or you can do it the dirty way and you can have a clutch stop, and you can basically have somebody in the car slowly disengaging the pedal and somebody turning drive shaft. As soon as the drive shaft lets loose and starts turning, just go one more turn on the clutch stop, lock it, and you're good to go. You're not going to overextend the pressure plate. If it's a car that, you know, in the morning you go to start it up and it's dry and, you know, you're putting a lot of load on the thrust bearing, there's no oil on that thing, you can see why it's a recipe for disaster. So always use a clutch stop or follow the manufacturer's recommendation to get this distance properly set up. That being said, we're going to throw this in and we're going to throw the T-case in, button everything up, put the subframe back on, put new fluids in here, change the oil because the car has been down for like 6-7 months, I think, at this point. Wow, something like that. I think so. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. We're gonna put new brake-in fluid because we never got the brake-in oil. You never got to break it in properly. And then we're gonna throw it on the dyno and start making pulls. So let's do it. Alright, so at this point, we're pretty much at home stretch. The only thing really left is to install the down pipe, which goes to the turbo. What we're going to do afterwards is we're going to bleed the brakes and the clutch and test to make sure we don't have any leaks, turn the car on. Yeah, we're ready to go on the dyno. First start after 4 months.
First start, here we go. You ready?
First try, baby.
Yes, sir. Speed lap boy.
Yes, sir. All right.
Sorry, I have to drink my vodka in between. So we put the sequential transmission in, everything went smoothly. We put the fluid in there, everything got buttoned up. We rebled the brakes, rebled the clutch, and for some reason we couldn't get the car to go into gear. After like an hour and a half of trying to figure it out, it ended up being the actual release cable. So it's a cable that you pull and it allows the gear reluctor essentially to, you know, go into reverse or go into first gear. You know, you can go into neutral and then right away you can bang it into reverse. Let's say you're going like 80 miles an hour and you do that, it's not going to be good. So that's why the lockout needs to be there. So now we have all the problems sorted out. There's no leaks. The clutch is holding pressure fine, although we are going to bleed it one more time. Up next, we're going to throw it on the dyno. Park throttle stuff's already tuned on this car, but we're just going to revisit that, and then we're pretty much going to move into straight power pulls and break this engine in like men. You know
like
what I
Speed
mean?
Lab does it.
The way Speed Lab does it. You know what I mean? No 500 miles of foo-foo driving, none of that stuff.
He said he wanted like 600-700 horsepower. How much are you gonna give him?
More than 600-700 horsepower.
I want a reliable 650.
650.
This man keeps telling me, he's like, I wouldn't be surprised at 800. I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe
Well,
a base
an
map,
hour.
bro.
It'll
Base
make
map
base
650.
Yeah.
Base map 650.
Yeah.
It probably will, honestly. It probably will. Well, it's gonna be tame timing because I still want you to have full knob control.
Right.
So
this thing is all about like everything about it. Overbuild the engine, and I want to be able to wail on this thing. Like the kind of driving I'm going to be doing with it is like high heat, high RPM. Like it's going to see a lot. It's not just little pulls like You know, drag racing, yeah, there's a lot that goes on with the motor, but it's a short amount of time.
Yes.
This is like a grid course is like a minute or so long. So that's a minute of like hard running. That's why you want a really, really stout base and be able to put that power down.
Yeah, and that's why, you know, you don't go for every ounce of power, and you don't throw every degree of ignition timing at it just because it's the 85 and it can take it. Because one, you know, bad ignition event and it can ruin his day. That's also why when you're tuning for specific type of racing, like road course, Gymkhana grid, this stuff that he's gonna be doing, we also want to keep the car on the richer side. So, you know, for prolonged periods of time, whenever he's wide open throttle, we don't, you know, want to, you know, you can run the 85, you know, 12.5 AFR, but, you know, on a car like this, we'll run it at like 11.2, just to make sure it has that, you know, extra cushion of safety when he's like on it for prolonged periods of time. Because even on E85, even though you're 100 plus octane, even though it's alcohol based and vapor, latent heat of vaporization, you know, to pulls the heat out of the charged air, you can still knock. It's just not, you know, if your stuff knocks on the 85, you're gonna destroy stuff. So it's not like pump gas knock where you pick it up audibly. And, you know, usually when you're in the 700-800 range, you have one single knock event, something's gonna let go. So that's why we're gonna keep it safe. We are gonna make a number for you, but then
We gotta have a kill mat.
we have to have a kill.
We gotta have a kill mat for sure.
You have to have the gap the homies man.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, so
Alright.
we'll see you guys on the dyno.
I gotta stay calm. I gotta stay calm. Still got a lot ahead of us, but this.
This is essentially the base map that I had for Ron when we initially built the motor. I made 465 at 7,000 RPM at 3 degrees of ignition timing by redline at 26 PSI. So usually with this compression on a stroker motor, we're at like 17, 18 degrees at this boost level. Just to give you an idea, when you're super far from MBT, maximum brake torque, and you're creeping up on it, like you're adding a degree, every degree you add is usually 15 to 20 horsepower. So just to put that into perspective, if I give it another 10 degrees, it should make 650 at this boost level, which is insane if you think about it. And that's probably exactly what's gonna happen.
And that's only at 26 PSI.
And I'm gonna leave it there for right now, just to prove a point.